Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. So I'm apparently an Uncle Tom for standing up for my white cousin. Reposting here cause I'm tired of it getting taken down. So, I'm not a big fan of racism. As a black man that should be a given. But I know the difference between bigotry, racism, and someone just being a jackass acting on bias that society has made a little too prevalent. I know you can't be lazy out here. Sometimes a person isn't one interaction, unless the interaction is incredibly heinous. My education tells me a lot of folks misuse or mislabel racism and bigotry and all that. A racist to me is when you feel like you're better, or someone is worse exclusively because of their skin color or race, and you treat them differently because of that, which takes a variety of different forms. I think a lot of people think racism is just hating another race, and that's not the case. Racism isn't always hate. It can be more subtle than that. I think some folks wanted to perpetuate the idea that hate or the overt racism fueled by hate was the only indication of racism. So that subtler, more ubiquitous racism would go unnoticed or could be hidden behind rhetoric or platitudes. I don't think hate is what drives most racist people. I think it is ignorance and sense of self-entitlement, or at the very least an inflated sense of self-worth. I think a lot of racist people believe in their own basic goodness or intelligence, or worth. And their racism comes from the fact that those feelings make them devalue the intelligence, goodness, and worth in others. When someone they identify with, someone of their race, does something bad or stupid, they empathize and apply the same criteria they would use to judge themselves or rationalize their own behavior to those people. But they are other different races, and because they do not see them in the same way, they make assumptions and judgments based off that ingrained belief that they are not the same or less. Like, this guy is naturally a bad apple, because he is of this other race. Where if it was someone of their shared race, they would say maybe he just had a bad day. This brief explanation gives you the indication of how I see racism and racist behavior, so that the story will make better sense to you. I frequent a place in my hometown where I like to get sandwiches. The staff is mostly black and they treat me just fine. Actually, they are a pretty decent staff, aside from one who has never been overtly rude to me, but she has been off-putting to generally everyone. She is black. I, however, began to notice that her treatment of my cousin when she goes to order for us was different. My cousin is a white girl. A lot of black girls would call her a snow bunny. I've gotten a lot of the disapproving looks when she's with me from black women cause they think she is my girlfriend, and our culture still has an issue with that. White men give me the same looks. Black men tend to give me a head nod and I just nod back. Can't really stop to correct them. But I began to watch this woman more and more cause I didn't like how she was talking to my cousin. Then I noticed a pattern about how she spoke to other white customers versus blacks and Latinos. Now I will say I can't really say if she's racist or just bigoted. The difference comes from the motivations. They are two diseases with similar symptoms, but they are the same. The same thought processes and what causes them, and they certainly aren't treated the same. Bigotry is much easier to solve than racism. But either way it goes, I was pretty sure it was one of the two. On one trip I asked to speak to her to the side, cause she got seriously out of pocket with Paris cause we had Brianna saw it too. She did not like that. I got black girl attitude up to 100, and said some very disparaging things about my cousin and about me trying to stand up for my white bee. I corrected her and told her that Paris is my cousin. Brianna is her little sister, and I'm gonna stand up for my family no matter what, and that she is tripping. I asked how she'd feel if a white man was doing that shit. She called me an Uncle Tom and whatever's me. I chose not to say nothing to her manager or nothing, but I was kind of pissed. But after that, she turned up the warts. Every time we was back, and even with some white customers aside from Paris, this woman was super unprofessionally rude. Like she was putting on a show. Like I had incensed her and she was going out of her way to be a major CT. Paris watches the sandwich get made now. We go in every time cause they know what we order, and she is afraid someone is going to spit in her food. Now a highlight of the behavior has been making snarky comments, referring to her as the snow bunny or Elsa when calling back to the team making the sandwiches. Being short in her statements, Rude. A lot of that tongue sucking or smacking when she talks and just her face and her posture. Like yelling and being impatient. It's just uncomfortable, but nothing I would call overtly racist. Just you're only doing this to her cause she white. Racism and bigotry ain't a good look on nobody. I know a lot of my brothers and sisters feel like they don't give a shit about folks who don't give a shit about them. So we relax when bigotry is directed back at white folks. And to be honest, I may be guilty of that myself. I certainly don't think I would have taken her aside to talk to her if my cousin wasn't one of the victims. That's something to talk about when we blame others for not caring about racism, but that's a whole different can of worms. So I began filming her interactions when we were there, covertly, just with my phone, about 4 instances, and took that to the manager. The manager had said they would do something, but in the damn near 3 months I been going to this spot, ain't shit been done. So recently, like 2 weeks ago, I sent my shit to corporates with a long complaint. I also wrote a complaint and mailed it. Just yesterday I showed up to get a sandwich and she's gone. She's gone. The manager is gone apparently too, and both were apparently fired. They are not sure about the manager. She may have just quit after a demotion, but not sure. One of the folks who works there that I'm cool with told me they made a big scene and that someone from corporates came to talk to them about customer service. He made it sound like it was just general customer service, not talking about race specifically, but they all kind of got the gist. I feel kind of bad though. I didn't really want anyone to get fired, especially not the manager. She hadn't been a B or anything. I just didn't see a change in the other woman's behaviors. In my letter I wrote that I was sure the manager spoke to her, but it didn't do much to change the employee's behavior. I never said anything disparaging about the manager, so I'm a little bummed she lost her job. I talked about this with a few of my acquaintances, and to a person the black women feel like I did something ducked up. The black men are mostly like, hey, gotta be nice to everyone if you work customer service, but they do think it's ducked up that I complained like a white person. Anyone of any other race thinks I did the right thing. Clear-cut case of at the very least bigotry and unprofessionalism. But my black women were not too happy with me. Even my sister Danny was like, that's ducked up. I don't like racism or bigotry in any form. I'd have been a lot more aggressive had it been the other way around. Like if some white chick was shitting on Brianna or me, or Danny. So at the very least I needed to say something when this chick was doing Paris dirty. But somehow I'm an Uncle Tom for being about what we say we are about. Okay, that shit got on my damn nerves. You ain't no Uncle Tom. What have they been saying for a few years? Silence is like consent. So if you just allow people to be racist or bigot without defending or correcting the racist or bigots, it's like you are allowing it and condone the behavior. You gotta always speak up against horrible behavior. There was a lesson to be learned by both of the women that were fired. You did nothing wrong. NTA. I always found racism stupid because if you are going to hate someone, hate them on being an asshole. If you hate them for their race, you are just being lazy and stupid and not hating based on any valid reason. You did not get them fired. Them being unprofessional racist assholes got them fired. If it happened to Paris, it happened to others, and when your racism hurts their profits, you get fired. Simple cause and effect. Though to be fair, the manager wasn't actually doing things that were hostile and racist. The manager was letting it go on unchecked, and as a manager, when there is a problem, either you stop it or leave that position for someone that is actually doing managing and not burying your head in the sand. I followed the posts. If I disliked Paris, race was absolutely not an issue. It was based on her attitudes and actions. Her race was totally irrelevant. But for those two just to hate white people is stupid. And this was not on you in any way. Instead of the lady checking her behavior, she continued. The manager was aware of it and allowed it. You called them out and it continued. Then they got fired. At any time they could have walked it back and not walked over the cliff. I do get the guilt-tripping part when you have a person that became president because of racism and was only 40-80k votes in some states from getting 4 more years. There is kind of the need to stick together. But their racism is what caused the problem, not Paris being white. If she had said something triggering it, sure, you can make excuses, but it sounds like that person just hated white people. The manager not telling her to dial it back or stop it was just as bad. You are a good man. You tried to deal with it by directly talking to the person. When that did not work, you showed proof to the manager. When the behavior was still going on, you took it to corporate. Black, white, Asian, East Indian, dog, or cat. This behavior is shit from anyone, and it is little steps like this that will call out everyone's crap and make it stop. Keep your head up. You've done good. Wow, you have a lot of truth in this post. I only know of one race, the human race. We are all different in many ways. Most of the disrespect that happens is learned. Granted, much of it from your environment, family, friends, and to fit in with the crowd. I have to say, your own comment of would you have said something if not a relative just shows honesty. I wish you well. Wow. I live in the Carolinas and never experienced such drama when I dated out my race. You are not an Uncle Tom or Coon man. You are simply a black man who grew up in a multiracial family. You are not responsible for other people's ignorance. Hey man, if you are green and hate the purple people because of their skin, or if you are from AAA and hate anyone from ZZZ just because they were born in a different place, you are a racist bigot. Same thing if you don't hate them, but think less of them because of that. And you are also a racist bigot if you think someone of your color, race, place of birth should not marry or date people from other colors, races, places. There are a lot of people these days who think racism and bigotry only happens in one direction, and that those who were hated for hundreds of years cannot be racist. That's bullshit. You hate another person for their skin. You are a racist. You think less of another person for their skin. You are a racist. You may be indifferent. You may be wary. You even hate some of them because of what they have done. But when you hate an entire group of people because of their race, you are a racist. And for those who frown to mixed race couples, a word, that's what a melting pot means. Mixing and aggregating several people and cultures, including through marriage. That's what the doctor wanted when said that he hoped his children will not be judged by the color of their skin but by the content of their character. To talk against mixed race couples is to advocate for segregation. And America knows too well the horrors of that. I think you did the right thing and have no reason to feel bad. You defended your family and that should be commended. From a pure corporate perspective, they could not allow behavior as you described to continue, and could not allow a manager who allows such behavior to remain in charge, especially since they are in the food service business. From what you described, the woman that was fired was not just acting like a bigot but was in fact acting racist per your definition. On the surface, the terms she was using do not seem offensive, but the manner and intent she was using them in was to degrade or insult the other person. She was a lawsuit waiting to happen. No one likes to see someone lose their jobs, but unacceptable behavior needs to be challenged no matter what race someone is, and it definitely should not be excused away. I work in the contractor arena and I have had to fire many people because of unacceptable comments made to people of a different race. I had to fire someone the other day for saying something racist about Asian people. The guy I fired was Hispanic. Don't feel bad for the manager. She enabled racism by doing nothing about your complaints. Casual racism and outright racism is still a shitty action. She got what she deserved. The odd road of reconciliation. Reconciliation. I-26M caught my 28F wife camming with her female friend Mimi, and doing private streams and sexting with a fan. You can pretty much find the entire situation in my posts. I don't want to rehash it here. Retelling the story still makes me incredibly angry. A little update and some information for others who are reconciling. The first thing I would like to say is, if you're reconciling, think really hard about what and why. You're going to get a lot of pushback from folks who think you're an idiot. The main champion of that will be in your own mind. I am not sure if I am strong enough to reconcile with a woman who physically cheated on me. The possibility that she did is still there, though all the evidence says otherwise. But the emotional gratification she got with the guy, the things said in the text as they role-played, that got pretty disrespectful, but it's something I believe I can work past. So the first thing I'm going to say is, once you make the decision, you got to block the rest of it out. Gotta give the shit your full measure. And it's hard. I'm in the beginning stage and I can already see some of the pitfalls. There is a pull between wanting to rush and try to put it past, to get over and be what you once were, or thought you were. Know that what you once were is dead and gone. Your job is to build something new from the ashes. Fighting comfortability and compliance seem like it's going to be a huge issue, but you gotta stay firm in your demands in how you want to be treated and what will not be accepted going forward. You can't let our longing for the idyllic picture you have formed of the before this happen to cloud your judgment. Don't be mean and petty, but don't let them off the hook. I know I am the type that may throw some shit in your face if you start getting out of pocket. You can't do that. You can't use their guilt to torture them. In my case, we've been re-establishing our relationship online. I have not physically been there with her since it happened. Instead, we now discuss things and spend time via Zoom as we talk about our therapy and other things. We're trying to be honest with one another and handle the underlying problems that led to those choices, rather than being awful about other things. Love doesn't go away. If you truly love this person, you always will. It's just that love will turn to anger and pain and resentment if you let it. I can feel it in my bones. If you are trying to reconcile, you gotta keep control of that. I find myself feeling more angry at her when I'm happy and things are going well than any other time. Like a snap to remind myself not to be too comfortable or that I need to keep my guard up. I'm about to make the move to recohabitate and it's frightening. But I also miss her like crazy. So I'll let you know how that goes. Forgive, but don't forget. I think you have to have forgiveness in your heart for them in order to truly move on. When those thoughts show up in your head, you have to remind yourself that you forgave them. If you hold true to that, the thoughts come less frequently. My wife may have cheated. The marriage was already over before that. See, I'm an angry man, and while I never hit her, I tortured her poor heart for years with walking out on every argument, leaving her to wonder if it was for real and how she would take care of herself and the kids. It's a ducked up thing to do to someone. I even refused therapy before this all started. That's when she said she knew it was over. Well, I'm on therapy now and actually making good progress. I have the intuition, but I have a wall around my emotions. We're cohabitating for the kids. I emailed her the other day to tell her if she wants a divorce but is too afraid to tell me that I would cooperate fully. I also told her I understand why she didn't tell me the marriage was over because I'm such an angry person and that I forgive her for that and everything afterward. She's spending more time at home and her sweetness is returning. Like the ice around her heart is melting. Maybe we'll reconcile. Maybe we won't. I'm not going to force the issue. I've stepped up as a father and that's one of those things a woman wants, is a family man. I still have work to do, but I'll be optimistic. I'm only asking this because you didn't mention it in your post. Did you ever actually apologize to her for your behavior? Yes. Full come to Jesus moment and everything. I wouldn't be on here acknowledging my behavior if I was still trying to defend it somehow. If we reconcile, it'll be a ways off. I'm trying my best to repair a lot of damage I've caused for others as well. If she doesn't have a change of heart, I don't blame her. Thanks for sharing your story. At least you are self-aware enough to know your role in the situation and willing to try and make it right. I hope the best for you too. Though you are not responsible for her infidelity, it is still good to understand what you did to create the climate where it was a possibility. If it doesn't help here, it will help with the next relationship. Stay strong and just do your best, man. That's all anyone can ask of you. Good luck, man. Pretty crazy situation there. Be frosty and keep your eyes open. Stop blaming yourself for the infidelity. You are half guilty for a crappy marriage but not the infidelity. Not blaming myself at all. I didn't do shit. You're a braver man than I Gunga Din. I'm not brave. I'm a little stupid. You gotta be a little of both to put your heart out there anyway. I just seek to do it wisely. I know your story and I'm sure you're gonna be straight. But I still don't really see the consequences for your wife. No bad behavior gets corrected without consequences. I know you ain't really sweating the thing with Mimi. I can understand that thinking. But still a continued friendship with her, in my opinion, is asking for the same result. Curious what your thoughts are on this. I'm not actually worried about this, and consequences are going to be enforced, but you can't seek punishment as a deterrent. Did getting spanked or grounded really stop you from doing what you really wanted to do? Number. And that's why our prison systems don't work. Cause we don't understand that you have to deal with the cause of things rather than the symptoms. We are too busy trying to punish. We don't know how to rehabilitate. We in turn create worse criminals, and if I go in here trying to punish her rather than work with her, I will create a worse WS. As far as Mimi, I'm not worried about Mimi at all. If they want to play around with one another, ducking, tell me. I ain't got a problem with that. There is some logic there, and I would be lying if I said I didn't want to bear witness, but I'm not worried about that all too much. No, you right bruh. Didn't change what I did. And yeah, prison didn't help either. Well, first trip anyway. Second knocked some sense though. Like I said, I think you and Amy are straight. I have been reading y'all's story for so long it's almost like family. Still think London's something serious. Maybe she's gonna come around. Anyway, we pulling for y'all. So to be clear, your girl that gets off on being a cam girl you now don't physically see anymore. The irony behind your relationship now being a hybrid cam girl situation is hilarious. She is now only online with you, so now you're someone she talks to via the internet. Please tell me you see the irony in this. We only talked via Zoom because I kicked her out of the house and then left town. I also then ignored her for about a month before handling any of this. Me not seeing her is completely my call. To be honest, I don't think I was planning on letting her back in at first. Not until I found out everything I could, which turned out to be a rabbit hole that just kept giving. I still have access to everyone's private communications too. I don't think I'll be giving that up anytime soon. But I can't keep paying the pie. My money long, but not that long. Am I reading the post wrong? You seem to be doing a lot of work when she should be doing everything. I hear you have to do this and that. No, she has to do this and that. If she doesn't do it, then it is simple. Okay, you were told. You made your decision. Good luck. Too bad she didn't take the same information and apply it to your relationship prior to her having the affair. Meaning working it out. Communication. Therapy, etc. Yeah, but given the circumstances I understand her failed communication strategy. There's a lot to unpack here. She needs a lot of work on some things that I didn't start, but certainly didn't help. We'll see how it goes. I read your post about your wife on Confessions thread. The way you described your wife and your appreciation for her is incredible. Your wife should read that post. Probably. That would help address her insecurities. I don't get guys like you, and I guess I'll never will, but good luck. Once that glass bowl is broken, no matter how hard you try to put it back together, it will never be the same. You loved the person she used to be, and that's what you're hanging on. She is no longer that person anymore, but again, good luck. I can't imagine ever taking a cheater back, but I've been cheated on. So I understand how those feelings might make you go against your better judgment. What I'm really struggling to comprehend though, is how you are using Zoom to rekindle anything. Isn't that a constant reminder of just how real cheating over the internet is? I can't relate to the internet dynamic of cheating, but I'm trying to put myself in that situation, and it just seems even more ducked up that she cheated on you over the internet and now you two are using the internet to reconcile. Hope this doesn't come across negatively. I don't mean to. I've read your whole saga and will continue to follow. I wish you the best, OP. Good luck. I hope things work out. The pain will be a lesson, but it never completely ends. You have to adjust as things progress, and she has to let you process everything without trying to hurry things along. I've been following you since this started. I'm pulling for you and Amy, and kinda still waiting for you to pull the trigger on the GTR. Hahaha, but you are a very intelligent person and also very rational. I still may, though Amy's trying to talk me down to a Subaru. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.